So, boss, last night it was a 2-1 defeat to Bristol Rovers. It was a bit of a strange game.
Yeah, it was. It was a strange game. It was a good game. I think there was a good edge to it in terms of the intensity. I think crowd being back in the stadium probably helped that to a degree. And like I say, I think both sets of players, both clubs approached it in the right manner. Felt there was a lot of good that came out of it from our perspective, despite being disappointed that not getting a result out of it. A result that I think we deserved. I think everyone's fully aware that we should have had a penalty that was as blatant a penalty as there's been this season, which would have helped us get back in it. I thought we had other opportunities in the game. I thought there was. I asked the players to approach it with a focus and the right manner to give us an opportunity to improve on our performance from the weekend against Scunthorpe, which I felt they did, and then to give a number of individuals the opportunity to perform as well. You know, we needed them as a collective to approach that right. So it gave players that are trying to play their way back into the team, players that are trying to keep their places in the team, the opportunity to do that. And I think that on a big scale, there was a number of players that also did that. And I think you also have to bear in mind that we're playing against League One opposition, and we went down to 10 men very early and showed a lot of credibility to still create opportunities whilst being in that situation.
You touched on a number of things there. One of them that must have been pleasing was just how competitive the team were when they had 10 men.
Yeah, you know, I'm always of the mindset of trying to be positive when we lose a player. It's something that I think we had a couple of experiences of it the year we won the league, and we always felt that having 10 men that keep trying to keep two players at the top end of the pitch makes you that little bit more positive, but makes it a little bit easier for the opposition to switch play and find space in the wide areas. But it gave us the opportunity that when we did get the ball, that we had players at the top end of the pitch who were going to be able to help us get back up there and put the opposition under pressure. So, but then what comes with that is there has to be a work ethic, there has to be a focus to work hard and give yourself the opportunity to still be in the game, and that's exactly what the players did.
And losing that man to the red card meant that we get to see Hector Cipriano at centre-back. So, some of the supporters and some of the people around the club might not have seen him play in that position, but it's good to see that he's got that diversity at such a young age.
Yeah, and I would like to think that people would trust the fact that I've known this boy for a long time now and understand that when I say what a bright future I feel that he's got, that that's not just a throwaway comment. It's an easy thing to say about someone that breaks into the team and it's then becomes a situation of weighing up what a bright future might look like. But I think that Hector embraces everything that we ask him to do. You know, he's recognised position, and his best position, in my opinion, and for him right now is that deep midfield position. But he's shown that he can go and play as a higher midfield player in a couple of games this season. He's gone and done a job like that without it being probably his go-to thing. But I've known that he can play at centre-half for a while. Whenever he goes away with Cyprus, he plays, albeit in a back three, but he plays the right side of the centre-half. It's a completely different game when he goes away with them than it is to playing in League Two, because it's a little bit more up and at you. But where Bristol Rovers dropped off of us a little bit, he wasn't in the fight with a centre-forward on Tuesday night. It gave him a real opportunity for him and Dan to get on the ball, and I thought he'd done that really, really well. We did it at Colchester before he came off. And I know that it's an area that he can certainly play in. I think we have to be cautious of the fact of what the game looked like the other night, but the fact that he embraced it and went and done it to the level that he did is really pleasing. But at the same time, like I say, I felt he was outstanding in that deep midfield play, in that deep midfield position in the first half.
You and Dave Victor spoke about the return of fans on Tuesday night, and hopefully we should have twice as many on Saturday against Newport. Just how big of an impact was it the supporters actually come back to the Bray Group Stadium?
Yeah, it's nice because the oohs and the ahs that we experienced haven't been backed by any other oohs and ahs in the stand behind you or to the right or to the left. So it's nice to have an atmosphere, some noise and people back in and amongst the stadium, you know. So I think that's firstly the great thing for us as staff and players. When the game's going on, it adds an edge to it. And like I say, I think the tempo of the game increased because of the people that were in the ground. I think that'll get ramped up again at the weekend, hopefully with more people in the stadium. I think what also I think I said to Dave as well on that front is that we want it to be a positive and enjoyable experience for people to come back in. It's going to be different, and I think for the people that weren't there on Tuesday night, everyone needs to understand that it's been different for us so far this season, playing in an empty stadium. It's been different for supporters watching games on the stream or picking up the information however they do that. And now it's going to be different again when you return to stadiums, because the ins and outs, I've done it myself at a couple of games in recent times, the ins and outs are different. When you're sitting in your seat, it's a different experience. But I think it's something we've all got to embrace. And we want to make sure that however people can express their joy at being back. It was nice at the start of the game, a round of applause, and to hear people singing along and trying to get an atmosphere going. It's great to get that. So the best way that people can generate that is going to make us a better team, and I think it's going to make the whole experience for us, for the staff, for the players, for people that have been longing to be back into the ground. It's going to make it a better experience for everyone.
Now, visitors Newport County have had a superb start to the season, but we've had a flavour of them in the FA Cup. What do you expect from them coming this Saturday?
I expect them to be a good team. I really like the way they've recruited in the summer. I really like the players that they've brought in. I really love the fact that that Flinny has been open-minded in terms of the way that he's evolved his team, and like all of us as young coaches and managers, etc., embraced some change to the way that they play, and I think they've done that fantastically well. So I've got a lot of respect for the way that they go about it. I make no secret of the fact that I have a lot of admiration for Flinny in terms of the job that he's done at Newport, but also the man that he is in terms of the support that he gave me after the passing of Justin. So he's always someone I'd love to see do well. Hopefully not too well at the weekend, but I think it's a very good team, very good start to the season. But I've said it before that we don't fear anybody. We embrace the challenge. We know it's going to be a tough one, but having experienced the FA Cup game, having obviously observed them and looked at what we feel they're going to be about, we feel as though we've got the players and the setup and the structure that we can go back at Newport as much as the threat that they're going to bring to us. So it's going to be tough. They've had a great start to the season, deserve a huge pat on the back for that. I'm sure they're going to be in and around it by the end of the season when that comes around, but we like to be able to slow them down this weekend by taking some points off of them.
You mentioned our players there. In the last couple of games, we've had the return of Lee, Craig, Ruel, slightly before that as well. Just good minutes into their legs, which gives you a headache when it comes to picking teams and all that.
Yeah, but I've said before, the headache's a good one, because you'd rather have a headache of who you're going to pick than looking over the shoulder and wondering where I'm going to find players to pick if they're injured. So delighted. I think Lee had to come off on Tuesday night. He was out on his feet because he's been out for such a long period of time. But to get 55 good minutes into him, he's a real step forward. It's a huge leap for us to see him get through that period of time. Ruel and Craigie went even further. They've both got 90 minutes. Ruel was hanging on for dear life a little bit at the end, but now we're out the other side of it. It's really important that we make sure that we lead these players back, and because we haven't got any additional football, we're having to do that in competitive fixtures like a cup game last night, in league games. We're having to dip players in. So it's frustrating sometimes when you look at the clock and see 55, 60 minutes knowing that you've got to bring a player off. But I thought we did it really well when we signed Cisse last year, and that's going to be part of the process again this season, is that we lead those players back to being fully fit and fully ready to sustain their comeback and not just come back and break down. So delighted that they're back and around us, and like I say, in terms of headache, I'll embrace that headache rather than it being one when I haven't got enough players to pick from.